the honors.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, tonight we will have 2 public hearings on 2 local laws. We will then go to our regular agenda. After that, we will have board reports, followed by, again, opening the meeting. I want to welcome some of the boys from Boy Scouts. Troop 482. Troop 482, okay. Great, thank you. So, are you here working on a badge?
Yes.
Okay. And the badge is?
Communication.
Communication? Okay, great. We're going to be asking you a million and one questions after this is all over, okay? You know you have that. You have to answer all of them. No, just kidding. No, it's great. Welcome. Thank you for being part of the meeting with us tonight. Okay, with that, Ms. Walsh, will you please move the first public hearing?
Thank you, Mayor Lombardo. Legal notice of public hearing, Incorporated Village of Floral Park, Local Law Number 1 of 2020. Please take notice that pursuant to Article 9 of the New York State Constitution, the provisions of the Code of the Incorporated Village of Floral Park Village, and the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York as amended, a public hearing will be held in Village Hall, 1 Floral Boulevard, Floral Park, on the 6th day of October 2020 at 8 o'clock in the evening of that day to consider enactment of a local law entitled A Local Law Amending Section 99-3B of the Code of the Incorporated Village of Floral Park so as to add the definition for home office and that the village designates itself as lead agency for purposes of the State Environmental Quality Review Act of the Environmental Conservation Law of the State of New York, and that a public hearing will be held in the Village Hall, 1 Floral Boulevard, Floral Park, New York, 11002, on the 6th day of October 2020 at 8 o'clock in the evening of that day, at which time all interested parties shall be heard on the enactment of the proposed local law, and that the village clerk give notice of such hearing by publication thereof in the Herald Courier, and by posting such legal notice on the bulletin board maintained by her for such purpose, for at least 5 days prior to the date of the hearing. This local law shall take effect immediately upon its filing with the Secretary of State, dated September 25th, 2020, Floral Park, New York, by order of the Board of Trustees, the Village of Floral Park, New York, Susan Walsh, Village Clerk. And this legal notice has been published in the official paper of the Incorporated Village of Floral Park, New York, and posted according to law, and sent to the Nassau County Planning Commission, who recommended taking action as deemed appropriate.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh. Okay. I would now like to place on the record that the board had previously adopted a negative declaration, meaning that the proposed local law has no significant impact upon the environment. I would also like to include the legislative intent of the law, and that this local law adds the definition of a home office to the zoning code to make clear such uses are permitted in residential dwellings. I would also like to read the authority of the law, section 99-3B, as amended to include home office, an accessory use within a dwelling that involves activities which only require the use of typical light office equipment and which involve no non-resident employees, no business-related visits, no warehousing of customer inventory, and no signage. The reason we are doing this now is, as many of you know, with COVID-19 and everybody working from home, a lot of people have begun using their homes as their office. Many of them, maybe a dining room table, maybe the couch in the living room, but again, we wanted to have a definition of what a home office would be allowed to be in our village. And with that, I will ask the board if they have any comments on this local law that they wish to enter into the record of this one. Okay, if not, I will go to the public. Does anybody in the public have a question? And if you do, and you are on our Zoom meeting, please, I would ask that you use the option to, in the chat, let us know, or raise your hand if you wish to speak on this local law. At this time, I don't see anybody who wishes to speak. So what I will do at this point is, since no one has any questions and no one has any issues, I will ask if there is a motion to adopt local law number 1 of 2020. If there is a motion to adopt the local law.
So moved.
Second.
And I will also ask Ms. Walsh if she will please poll the board.
Trustee Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Trustee Pombana.
Aye.
Trustee Chang.
Aye.
Trustee Chiara.
Aye.
And Mayor Longfellow.
Aye. And that closes this public hearing. Okay, and with that, we will go to our second local law, and I will ask Ms. Walsh to please open that public hearing.
Legal notice of public hearing, Incorporated Village of Floral Park, New York, local law number 2 of 2020. Please take notice that pursuant to Article 9 of the New York State Constitution, the provisions of the Code of the Incorporated Village of Floral Park Village, and the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York, as amended, a public hearing will be held in Village Hall, 1 Floral Boulevard, Floral Park, on the 6th day of October 2020, at 8 o'clock in the evening of that day, to consider enactment of a local law entitled, a local law amending sections 99-24F and 99-24G of the Code of the Incorporated Village of Floral Park, that the village designate itself as lead agency for purpose of the State Environmental Quality Review Act of the Environmental Conservation Law of the State of New York, and that a public hearing will be held in Village Hall, 1 Floral Boulevard, Floral Park, New York, 11002, on the 6th day of October 2020 at 8 o'clock in the evening of that day, at which time all interested persons shall be heard on the enactment of the proposed local law, and that the village clerk will give notice of such hearing by publication thereof in the Herald Courier, and by posting such notice on the bulletin board maintained by her for such purpose for at least 5 days prior to the date of the hearing. This local law shall take effect immediately upon its filing with the Secretary of State, dated September 25th, 2020, Floral Park, New York. By order of the Board of Trustees, Village of Floral Park, New York, Susan E. Walsh, Village Clerk. And this legal notice has been published in the official paper of the Incorporated Village of Floral Park, New York, and posted according to law, and sent to the Nassau County Planning Commission, who recommended taking action as deemed appropriate.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh. And I would like to announce that the board had previously adopted a negative declaration, meaning that the proposed local law has no significant impact upon the environment. I wish to read the intent of this local law, and this local law amends a section of the code regarding the location of air conditioning equipment and generators on residential properties within the village. I would just like to comment that we found the need to have to do this, and I want to thank Building Superintendent Renee Marcus for her work on this. As you know, air conditioners and the placement of air conditioners and the generators on anybody's property is guided by our rules and regulations. With the advent of new split units and different, much better noise level air conditioners and things like that, we have been able to modify our law to adopt to the new types of equipment that's out there, and that's what this is doing. So, with that, I will ask the board if they have any comments on this local law that they wish to enter into the record.
I do agree.
Okay. Trustee.
This is long overdue. As a real estate attorney, I've dealt with this whole issue of legalizing air conditioning units in my practice of generators. As we all know, there is no such thing as climate change, and storms get worse and worse. The idea of having a generator now makes sense to incorporate at this time. When you weigh the split units and some of the central units, as far as noise, in comparison to having your neighbor with a window air conditioner of 20-some thousand BTUs, these new units are so much quieter, it just makes sense to move in that direction. And so I applaud our superintendent, Renee Marcus, for bringing this to us. I've been mentioning this for years, and I'm glad to see, hopefully, that this goes through.
Thank you, Trustee Chang. Any other board members wish to speak?
Yeah, I just have a question. How will this impact current homeowners who
anybody who wishes to comment on this local award? Okay. That being said, I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the local law.
Darling, is there anyone on the Zoom with a question?
I'm sorry.
No. Thank you.
Yes. I apologize to all the people who are on Zoom. If you have a question, please raise your hand now or enter a question into the chat. Okay. No questions. Thank you all. Okay, with that, now I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the local.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Walsh, will you please poll the board?
Trustee Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Trustee Pombana. Trustee Chang.
Aye.
Trustee Chiara.
Aye.
And Mayor Longfellow.
Aye, and again, thank you so much, Renee, for your work on this and the online as well. Thank you very much. With that, we are done with public hearings, so I thank you so much for everything, as always. And we will be going to our regular board meeting. So, Ms. Walsh, when you are ready. Okay, just give me 1 second, Ms. Walsh. There it is. Okay.
I would ask the board to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of September 16th and work sessions of September 22nd and the 30th of 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried.
I would ask the board to approve the schedule of accounts payable as follows. General fund, $1,932,046.63. Full fund, $84,518.73. Capital fund, $4,718.74. For a grand total of $2,221,284.10.
I'll offer that resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh, will you please poll the board?
Trustee Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Trustee Pombana.
Aye.
Trustee Chang.
Aye.
Trustee Chiara.
Aye.
And Mayor Longfellow.
Aye.
I would ask the board to ratify and approve the daily rate of $125 for all election inspectors for their services on Tuesday, September 15, 2020.
I'll offer that resolution.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh, will you please poll the board?
Trustee Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Trustee Pombana.
Aye.
Trustee Chang.
Aye.
Trustee Chiara.
Aye.
And Mayor Longfellow. I would ask the board to approve the request of Boy Scout Troop 482 to use Firefighters Hall on Wednesday evenings on October 14th, 21st, and 28th from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. and DEMPAC number 482 to use the Recreation Center outdoors at 4 p.m. on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays alternately, subject to receive a certificate of insurance, CPC guidelines, and Nassau County protocols.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I gotta ask, should we pass this?
I think you should.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried.
I would ask the board to approve the request of the Floral Park Youth Council to hold their annual Turkey Bowl at the Recreation Center on Sunday, November 22nd, rain date November 29th, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, subject to receive a certificate of insurance, CPC guidelines, and Nassau County protocols.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried.
I would ask the board to authorize refunds for the park programs as presented.
I'll offer that resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walsh, will you please poll the board?
Trustee Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Trustee Pombana.
Aye.
Trustee Chang.
Aye.
Trustee Chiara.
Aye.
And Mayor Longfellow.
Aye.
I would ask the board to approve the request of the Wednesday Mothers Club to host a trunk and treat event on Sunday, October 25th, 2020, at the parking lot across from the Recreation Center from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., including setup and cleanup, which also they're requesting to include the use of barricades and Halloween music and subject to receive a certificate of insurance, CPC guidelines, and Nassau County protocols.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Other than what are the treats? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried.
I would ask the board to approve the request of the Booster Club and the Floral Park Memorial High School Marching Band to use the Carlton Street parking field on Saturday, October 24th, rain date the 25th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to hold a karaoke, costume, car wash fundraising event as specified in their request. subject to receipt of certificate of insurance, CDC guidelines, and Nassau County protocols, and a guest appearance by trustee Chang.
I wasn't gonna move unless that happened.
So moved. All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a discussion on this. What is trustee Chang wearing? What is the costume?
I don't know yet. This is the first time hearing of it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Who's carried?
I would ask the board to approve the request of the Floral Park American Legion Post 334 Board to have an abbreviated Veterans Day ceremony on November 11th, 2020 at 11 a.m. at Memorial Park, weather permitting, in accordance with CDC guidelines and Nassau County protocols.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
That will be all, Mayor.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll go to board reports, and I'll start with our Deputy Mayor, Mr. Kevin Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real quick, with regards to DPW, the drainage projects are now completed. The paving has been done. And speaking of paving, our crew is now on Larch, milling it out, and I'd like to thank Kevin getting that done, or partially getting done. And that's something that actually was born out of a request out of one of the Civic Association meetings. So it is important for those meetings to occur, and it came out of that meeting, so thanks for that. Then lastly, I know the mayor said earlier, you can never say thank you enough, so I know there'll be further thank yous as we move along here, but thanks to the fire department, the fire departments that came in, and our police department, and as always, God bless them and continue to keep them all safe. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Dr. Lincoln Bond.
Thank you. And good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd again like to offer my congratulations to Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald and Trustee Chang on their election and continuing on our Board of Trustees. As the Mayor said, you can't meet two finer people, I agree. They are also most fabulous principals people I've ever had the honor to work with. I think as a village, we are blessed to have them on our board, and I look forward to continuing to work with them. First, for the Covert Avenue Chamber of Commerce. As everyone knows, a devastating fire took place on Covert Avenue on Sunday morning, September 27th. Many of our wonderful businesses were affected by this serious fire, including the Park Place Restaurant, Villagers Perk, Luna Eyelashes, Capo Ristorante, Covert Nails, Covert Barbershop, VI Pizza, Covert Optical, and K Hunter Boutique. Sadly, several Floral Park homes behind the stores also suffered some of the effects of smoke and water. As of now, the businesses all remain closed, but we are hopeful that they can resume their valuable services that we have grown to depend on and love as soon as possible. The Floral Park Fire Department and Rescue Squad were joined in fighting this fire by numerous mutual aid departments from around the area. Members of the Nassau County Fire Marshal's Office were also on the scene. We thank all for their bravery and extraordinary efforts fighting and extinguishing this terrible fire. The Floral Park and Nassau County Police teamed to keep the area around the fire and the hundreds of people who were there safe. Our Floral Park Village Building Department and Department of Public Works were present in full force to check the safety of the buildings and participate in the cleanup. We are all grateful to our village staff for their important work at the fire scene, and now going forward into the future. Many of our businesses, clientele, and followers have demonstrated their love and lent their support since the morning of the fire. Our Covert Avenue Chamber of Commerce continues to work to support all of our businesses. Please check the Covert Avenue Chamber Facebook page for the Covert Avenue strong message and ways that you can support the businesses affected by the fire. Each business's website and or Facebook page will provide important updates about their own business status. And while you're on the Facebook pages, take a moment to read all the many heartwarming posts and messages of support for our covert businesses on our chamber and other covert business Facebook pages. Especially now, please take time to shop, eat, spend, and enjoy local. Support our businesses now more than ever before. For our recreation department, it continues to be a busy and beautiful fall at the rec center. Come down to take in a tennis match or one of our our sports teams competing in baseball, softball, soccer, flag football, coming soon roller hockey, all played following the latest health and safety guidelines and respective sports protocols. For the Conservation Society, thanks go to all the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts who are completing their Eagle in the Bold Awards with projects that will beautify Centennial Gardens, as well as the Scout troops and other organizations who are holding weeding and cleanup days. Come one and all to celebrate our beautiful Centennial Gardens inside and out during the fall season. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll go to Trustee Archie Chan.
I am sure that all know about the Covert Avenue fire on September 27th, and our thoughts and prayers are with all the store owners and their employees. They don't need to be reminded, but we'll remind them again that we as a village are here to help you in any way that we can. For the past several months, I have thanked all of our first responders, especially the rescue company and other fire department members that assisted rescue during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, tonight I want to thank the entire department for their work on the fire. I am extremely proud to be the commissioner of this fire department. From start to finish, the department showed their skill, bravery, commitment, dedication, and selflessness. They rushed out of their homes at 6:33 in the morning, and most did not return home until early evening. Smoke and heat beat them up, yet they got back on their feet and tried to save the buildings from total ruin. Our brave volunteers were on the roof cutting holes to ventilate, and others were on the ground trying to advance in the building. 5 to 6 tower ladders were up spraying water on the top of the buildings, but unfortunately the buildings involved were built in the early 1900s and shared a common hot loft or attic as we would call it today, and most did not have fire stops. This allowed the smoke and fire to travel through each of the stores. Thick metal ceilings that look so decorative in these days above the modern drop ceilings kept heat and fire in the attic area. At one point, the chiefs decided that it was unsafe to be on the roof or in the buildings. And I say this from experience as a former Floral Park Fire Department member. We all heard one of the scariest alarms of all. All trucks on the scene blasted their horns and sirens, which is the signal for both to evacuate and get away from the building as soon as possible. The decision certainly contributed to the fact that only 3 firefighters suffered injury or illness that day, and at last report, all are well. Sometime thereafter, there was a backdraft smoke explosion that rushed through one of the buildings and out the front. Again, the words "thank you" seem so trite when you look at the job that our volunteer firefighter neighbors did that day. But to the department, we express our gratitude and thanks. Our thanks also go to all of our neighboring departments for their assistance that day. The mayor said it was 23, I had 21, but I'm sure he's correct. We had the 1st Battalion there in force, which runs from Melrose Terrace out to Garden City Park. And I have a list here, but there's just too many to read out. But they came all the way from Belmore Merrick, Plandome, and Unionville to aid us. The mutual aid program works. It is quite possible that the vast majority of departments in Nassau County were also involved in this fire. The closer departments were at our scene, but that is not the end of the story. Many other departments were called in to backfill the departments that responded to Floral Park. Those other departments were called in to protect the residents of those areas where their primary firefighters left their home areas to come to Floral Park. Again, all we can say is thank you to all of them for their sacrifice and service. I also want to inform the village that on October 11th at 10:30 a.m. a mass at Memorial Park is being held to honor our police department, fire department, first responders, nurses, and medical personnel who valiantly served during the pandemic. Please come out to express our appreciation to them. Calls for the month of September, Rescue 84, rest of the department 19. As to the 3rd track of Long Island Railroad, latest updates are as follows. Work still continues at the MTA substation at Plainfield Avenue. Retaining and sound wall work on the north side of the right-of-way has now been pushed back to mid-November. Elevators will be tested in November, and there is a strong possibility that the elevators will be operational in December. Finally, we have been advised that the Belrose Long Line Railroad Station will be undergoing construction construction to reinforce and lengthen the platform. Work will begin at the end of October and into the first quarter of 2021. Hard to say that, but I'm looking forward to saying that. During the project, the eastern one half of the platform and the shelter area or waiting room will be closed. Passengers riding eastbound will have to use the doors on the last 4 cars, and passengers riding westbound will have to use the first 4 cars. The Long Island Railroad will announce through flyers, posters, and other announcements on the train when this occurs. Most of the station will be done on the Belrose side of the station, but there will be disruptions of traffic on Atlantic Avenue. The Long Island Railroad has committed to providing flaggers and traffic personnel when Atlantic Avenue is impacted. Please continue to check our website for further information as it comes out. And that was the longest report that I've had so far.
In all the years he's been a trustee, president of the Swanwick Decentralized School Board, and other school boards that he's been on. I think that's the longest he's ever done. So thank you, Rich, very much was meant to be done. And by the way, 86 days. Okay, 86 days. And this year's over. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now go to Trustee Frank Chiara.
Thank you, for our library. Along with the many virtual programs the library is offering, the library is conducting outdoor events on their lawn. This week they had their first yoga class, which had a great turnout. The next yoga class will be this Saturday at 10 a.m. Residents must register for the class either online, at the reference desk, or by calling 516-326-6330. Registration closes at noon the Friday before. For our children, the library has created a story walk. A book has been laminated and presented page by page outdoors to promote reading and exercise. The book will be out on the lawn daily until 5:30 p.m. The title of the book is If Dinosaurs Came Back by Bernard Most. This event will continue until October 30th. Our library is also part of the Nassau and Suffolk Library's Great Give Back program. Our library is collecting new socks to be donated to the Ronald McDonald House. All sock donations must be new and wrapped. Donations can be dropped off in a bin located in the library's lobby. Donations are accepted until October 31st. Once again, thank you to our wonderful library staff for all that they do for our community. Continue to check the website and Facebook page for details and updates on their program. For the building department. The building department is working with owners and tenants of the Covert Avenue properties affected by the unfortunate fire that occurred last Sunday. There will be ongoing inspection and testing occurring over the next few weeks to assess damage and feasibility of repairs and reopening. A formal plan is dependent on the finalization of the building condition reports and the insurance assessments. The goal is to get the businesses up and running as soon as possible. The sidewalk in this location will be closed until further notice to ensure safety of our residents. I'd like to give a special thanks to Kevin Beauvais and Renee Marcus for not hesitating at all to respond to this fire last Sunday morning. Their presence and sharing of their knowledge and expertise was a great assistance with making decisions on how to best address the scene. They will continue to work with the businesses, owners, residents of the area to ensure a safe environment for all. Thank you, folks. Also, I'd like to take this opportunity, just like my fellow trustees, to thank our volunteer fire department rescue for the tremendous job battling the fire out and coordinating with all the other departments from our surrounding communities that came to help out. You did a fantastic job. Thank you to all the communities that came and supplied mutual aid. Also to our fire department, DPW, department buildings, thank you for all the efforts that day and for all you do for our community all the time. Thanks very much. And I'd also just like to mention, today there was 2 bicycle accidents in the village. So I'm encouraging our residents to be safe out there. I know during COVID there's a lot more people riding bikes on both sides. The driver should be alert and the bicyclist should just obey the traffic rules and regulations, wear helmets to avoid these accidents. So be careful out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And at this time, before I give my report, I just want to recognize our Commander of our American Legion, Matt Cacciatore, is sitting there. Matt, thank you for being here. So, and we have a great event planned for Veterans Day, so thank you so much. I know it's been a rough rough haul for you guys too, with everything, so thank you over the last couple of months. I'm not kidding, 86 days. However, as Trustee Chiara just pointed out, I have no doubt that we might see dinosaurs somewhere. Yes, they are important. So, but nothing would shock me at this point. But in all fairness, I just want to echo my fellow trustees. This fire was just an amazing, unbelievable tragedy for the families that are associated with those businesses. But more importantly, and I say this all the time, you can never say thank you enough, and I want to thank them so much for all that they do for this village. Those families have done, I had the good fortune of being on this board for over 12 years now, and when I started, my first assignment was liaison to the Culver Chamber, and at that time, Paul from Capo, Paul and Ingrid were opening Capo, and shortly thereafter, Patty and Sergio were opening Park Place. So I had the good fortune of working with them to get those businesses started. And I can tell you right now that we will be doing the same exact thing. We will make sure that we get them started again and do what we have to do. They are all of the businesses, not just them. Every one of those businesses. Robert, at the pizzeria, you've got, I could name them all. I won't go through everybody, but it's just amazing all that they do for our community. They, like every other business, they give back so much, and it's our turn to help them, and we will be doing that. We will be working to make sure. I do want to thank Renee and Kevin for being there and doing the things that they had to do. To Kevin and the entire department, DPW department, you guys were amazing just being there. Everybody doing what they had to do and doing all that they had to do. Our police department, Steve, thank you so much for all you guys being there to protect everybody, not just there at the scene, but all the people around and all the things that had to be done. To our administrative staff, Jerry, Susan, and the entire staff, Rosaline, everybody who was here, Dawn, everybody was doing what they had to do. Mike Derby was up there as well. And whatever anybody could lend a hand, they were here to help. It was just amazing to watch the staff do what they had to do. But the most is our volunteer fire department. You know, we call them the greatest volunteers in our village, and that's for a reason. And they showed it the other day. They did everything they could. Not only them, but every one of those volunteers who came from all of the other fire departments who were just working diligently to get that fire out, fighting, and the fire just kept coming back. It just didn't want to end. You know, when Archie called me early that morning, it was just like, you know, he just said, "This is bad." That's all he said to me. And when I got up there, it was worse than I could have ever imagined. And I am not a firefighter. Archie is, you know, he's been a member of our department, many other people are. I don't know what it means to stand there in those uniforms and do the things that you got to do to get that fire out. But to watch our guys, to watch them, how tired they were at the end of the day, to watch all of the firemen and the things that they did. And again, they are all volunteers. They are all doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. So you can never say thank you enough. We can never say thank you to them for all that they do. To the first responders who were there doing what they had to do to protect everybody, all the ambulance corps, all the ambulances that were there from the fire departments, everybody, to all the neighbors and friends around, to all the other businesses who were around, who were offering anything that they possibly could, to the business owners who were there, who were losing everything as they stood there and watched them, their businesses and their dreams go down, you know, and it was just, everybody did everything they could to lend a helping hand. Right after that, it didn't stop, and it hasn't stopped to this day. And that is what makes this such a great place. We will rebuild, we will get them back, we will do everything that we possibly can to help them. And it's going to be a long haul. There's a lot of people involved, a lot of different things that have to happen, but we will be working with them day in and day out to make sure that they can be and know that our community is there for them, okay? So again, I want to thank them. Archie mentioned Sunday, essential workers and the mass for essential workers, as well as a ceremony at 11 or 11:15, so at that point, please come down to that. You know, again, COVID-19 is not over. None of this is over yet. And the people who are being honored this coming Sunday are people who have worked through this and done so much to protect all of us. we're saying thank you now, but they're going to continue working. They're not going to stop, until this thing is over, and until we have a solid vaccine, and until we have a good treatment, and people are no longer have to be afraid of it. This is going to continue, so please help us. And that starts at 10:30. Mass starts at 10:30. Okay. So please come down and do that. At this point, I will tell you that we had some good news yesterday, and that outdoor dining would be extended for thanks to the work that Jerry did to put some things together. Jerry Bamberger, village administrator, to get the state, wake up the state and tell them we needed that to do that. So the governor had not extended outdoor dining, and it's been essential to keep our businesses open over this time. Jerry made some phone calls and then got some people rattled, and within a couple hours, the governor signed the executive order to extend it. So I just want to thank him for all of his work in getting that done, because it is so important. Please support our businesses. They are the lifeblood of what Floral is. And with that, I will end my report, but please, again, keep everybody in your prayers, because we still continue to need that as much as possible. With that, I will I'm going to close, but I'm going to ask if we have any questions from the audience, and if anybody would like to, has any issues they would like to bring. But I'll close the formal portion of the meeting, so yes, can I get a motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, it's carried. With that, I will ask if anybody has anything that they would like to bring before the board. Matt? Sure.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Trustee Secretary. I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the Post members for authorizing our request for Veterans Day on November 11th. And we thank you very much. And I just wanted to take like 30 seconds, because although we have made the decision for reasons I put in my letter to the village to keep the building closed, we really haven't stopped doing the best we can. And there's an old expression that when you can't do what you normally do, and you should do what you can. And in line with those, what the Post has been able to do during the pandemic is that we established a local Post temporary financial assistance program. Due to our financial diligence, we're able to offer up to $100 in cash to veterans in need for grocery shopping, on restrictions, buying gas. It's a cash gift, and it's kept confidential. We conducted food drives, and in those food drives, we delivered over 150 items to the Armenian Victory Food Bank here in the village. We donated 560 medical gloves to Wainwright and Winthrop, and we were able, again, due to our financial diligence, to keep our end-of-year school awards to 4 local schools in the area, and those students recognized, by faculty and staff were recognized with the traditional cash awards upon graduation. And one of those is named in honor of former Mayor Hayden. And again, we want to thank you for your support for Memorial Day. We appreciate it. And again, thank you for approving Veterans Day.
Thank you so much, and that's awesome. I think that is absolutely great. It just shows what it's all about. And again, it also shows that once you guys, you never stop serving. So thank you so much. Thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. Is there anybody else who would like to be heard on an issue? Sure.
Matt?
Yep, absolutely.
My name is Hunter Camp. I am a scout in Troop 482 as the. I'm not here about like the grievance I have in the village. It's rather I'm working towards my Eagle Scout, which is sorry, I'm having.
It's okay. Take your time. No worries.
I'm working towards my Eagle Scout, as I said, and it's not about what I can have done for me, it's what I can do for the village at the moment. And so that said, are there any smaller projects that are upcoming or anything that I can take over as my Eagle Scout project?
Actually, Hunter, yes, we all, and I'm looking at our DPW superintendent, Kevin Ganani, who works very closely with our Boy Scout projects and Girl Scout projects and things like that. I'm going to ask you to talk to Kevin right after the meeting, okay? But also to talk to me, and we will figure out something that maybe you would like to do. We've had some great and wonderful success with Boy Scout Eagles, with Eagle Scout projects in the village. making, and they do so many good things to make our village beautiful and things like that. And so we do have a couple of things that we would like to talk to you about, if you, and maybe one of them would be something you would like to do. So that would be great. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, great. Anything else you need for your communications today?
No.
That's fine.
Yes, I
No, I know.
No, as far as the here, he just gave me credit, he just talked to you about it.
Okay, all right, that does it, so that's great. Did you have any questions about anything you saw in the meeting or anything like that?
No, I'm okay, thank you.
Okay.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Hunter. We'll be talking. Thank you, Peter. Okay, anybody else? No? How'd we go? All right, you want to come back? Okay.
No,
All right, with that, I'm going to just thank you all for being here tonight. Please get home safe. Thank you for a great meeting, and we'll see you soon. Take care.